Alright, so we're going to look at the small cat's face from front view, and when I say small cat, really talking about domestic cat. There are a lot of related species, but they're not very well known. So we're going to start off with a circle, which is roughly where the head's going to be. And then we'll put a centre line through there, and of course this way also. And at the top of, close to this horizontal centre line, we're going to put a smaller circle. And the angle we're going to be drawing the small cat's face from is going to be slightly different from the angle that we drew the big cat's face from, even though they're both from front on. The small cat's face is not going to be looking down as much. So, but it does also have a much shorter snout, which is why also one of the reasons why we're drawing the small circle within the big circle here. So we're going to start off, if you can imagine like the very centre of this circle here, just above that, we're going to put a little triangle, which is where the cat's nose is going to go. That's where it's going to start out. And we're going to draw a line down from the nose to the lip. The line from the nose to the lip is quite short in small cats compared to bigger cats. And again, you get that V shape there. The chin is not as pronounced as big cats, so it's going to be quite rounded there. We're going to do the whisker pads, which are going to curve up and around more so than the actual circle that they're in. We'll curve up till about there. The nose, like the big cat, you follow a line from the nose itself and you end up with where you're going to locate the inside corners of the eyes. And for the eyes, if you can imagine an almond shape like this, you're going to try and tilt that at an angle of about 30 degrees. So, just going to draw that in like so. So you want that outside point here to be higher up than this point here, which is at the inside of the eye. And the bottom of the eye should be about halfway up to the head. I specifically say the bottom of the eye because the eye itself is quite large and takes up a large portion of the head. So if you're going to be measuring it from a different part of the eye, you'll end up with incorrect proportions. Just do the same with the right eye. Okay. And we'll put in just marks for where the whiskers would grow from above the eyes, and then directly above those where the insides of the ears are going to be, and they're going to be pointing out at an angle, maybe about 45 degrees. Meanwhile, similar height to where we have the eye, or about the top of the eye, you can draw the ear, and the ear will actually be pointing it slightly outward direction, and it will be quite pointed at the tip here. And like I said, the bottom of the eye is about halfway up the head, so we're just going to measure that and make sure that the top of the circle's in the right place, which it isn't. It's a bit too high up, so I'm actually going to lower the top of the head there, which means I'm going to have to lower the ear a bit there also. Like that. Okay, just going to rub out that line that was in the incorrect spot. Double check we got that in the right place. Okay, that looks about right. Now the outline of the head is going to be it's going to be a bit different from the circle here. We're going to go up a bit there, and we actually want to, the whisker pad we have here, at the top of that, if you can imagine a straight line coming up here, like so, and then from around about that point you also have the cheekbone coming up the face, which curls around under the eye like so, something like that. And from this cheekbone here, around about that height in the face, I'm going to put another line there, give it a bit of an angular sort of shape to it. And getting a bit more of the kind of look that we're going for. Now, the line between the head and the ear, it's actually not going to follow that curve of the circle. It's going to be slightly curved, but fairly sort of straightish line. Like so. I'm going to have another thing on this side of the head. And another way to look at the outside line of the ears, if you were to follow up the curve on the side of the face, as it starts to curve in, that's where you put the outside line from the ear, and the ear points again slightly away from the middle of the face. So it's not straight up, but it does start further in than the widest point of the head, like that. And again, the inside of the ear is going to be about, I think I said it was about 45 degree, whatever angle it is that I'm drawing there, and we draw it up till it meets with the outside line there in a fairly sort of pointed shape, and we put that straightish or slightly curved line over here at the bottom of the ear. And cats tend to have a bit of hair in their ears, so just put a bit of that in, which is really just in there roughly. I mean, if you're going to render it properly, you're not going to draw, you're going to put more effort into drawing that hair there. And they do have like a little divot in their ear, like that. Kind of like this is their earlobe or something like that. But there tends to be a bit of an overlap of flesh over here. And we're just drawing some lines on those whisker pads, which are where the whiskers are going to grow from. Typically put about 4 lines. Along those lines I put little spots which are where the whisker is actually going to grow from. Alright, now like the big cat, there is a bit of a curved area here on the nose where the fur tends to change direction, particularly around here. You get like fur pointing that way and pointing that way, and they meet in that centre line along there. But really, you don't, it's up to you how much you actually want to put that in, because it's not a particularly obvious part of the face. We want to make sure we put the nostrils in so that the triangle of the nose is not going to stay a perfect triangle. Draw those nostrils in. Like on the big cat, the nostrils actually should come past the actual fleshy part of the nose. And we'll fill in the eyes with the pupils, and in small cats, the pupils tend to be elliptical, which in bright daylight they'll be very thin lines, but as it gets darker their pupils will widen, same way ours widen in darker light, but cats will widen into this ellipse shape first, and then when they're at their widest they will take up most of the eye and they'll actually be quite circular looking. So if you've ever seen a cat at night time, it might actually look a bit cuter with big black pupils taking up most of the eye. But I'm going to do it in pretty medium sort of light here, put a couple of shines in the eye there and put a bit of shadow just to finish up. Most small cat species have some sort of patterning on their face, which is similar to the kind of pattern you get on a domestic cat's face, and we'll take a bit more of a look at that when we talk about the rendering. Then, just to finish the eyes off, within this almond shape which we've drawn as the eye here, you're actually going to draw the edges of the circular parts of the eye, because these bits here, the pointy bits, are actually flesh that surrounds the eye. That should help finish it off and make it look quite a bit like a real cat. Got to make sure that centre line's in the centre also, not a little bit to the side. That's how you structure the face of a domestic cat for drawing it front on.